Earthlings. You probably clicked on this video because you want to study Japanese, or you're just curious to know how it is possible to learn an entirely new foreign language, especially one like Japanese, because it seems difficult due to the different writing they use. Like when you study French, you still have the Roman alphabet to use, but in Japanese they have 3 different alphabets to write with, and it's completely different. But no worries, it might sound like a joke, but I know deep in my heart, I'm not saying this just because I'm cheesy and I want to get YouTuber points, but really, you too can learn how to speak Japanese. Why? Because if you put your heart into it, anything is possible. Don't believe me? Well, look at the Olympic Games. Still a bit intimidated? Well, there's Paralympic Games. So I think that you are more capable of what you think you are capable of. And I think that Olympic Games, Paralympic Games are proof that we can achieve anything what we dream if we put in hard work, accept challenges, and are not afraid to get a little bit uncomfortable. If you really want something, you can do it. In most cases, the only thing that is stopping you from the goal that you want to achieve is yourself, or procrastination, which I'm also going to talk about in this video. And procrastination is also something you do, so it's not Facebook's fault or kitty doggy videos fault. No, it is because you consciously choose to watch them and you know that time is passing. Blah, blah, blah. In this video, I'm not only going to talk about how to tackle studying Japanese, but also which books to use, how long it takes generally, if you should go to a school or self-study some Japanese basics, and of course what is important in your study journey is of course to keep motivation and to not procrastinate, which is it's vital to achieve your goals, so I'm going to talk about that as well. And to start, I would like to address 2 general misconceptions people have when they hear that I have studied Japanese. One of them is that I'm able to speak and read and write Japanese because I'm just smart. Unlike plebs like themselves, I have a gift that enables me to study languages easier than other people, and I can tell you right away that is not true. So for example, when I was studying Korean at a language school in a class with other people, and I had better grades than the majority of people, and I was often told that it must be because I'm smart or just gifted or a genius, which I know is not true, because I could see that I studied more than anybody else in the entire class. And by that I mean with study hard, I really didn't try to make friends with people in the class or engage in conversation, and only focus on the material that is being taught. Write down all the vocabulary in my phone and go through digital flashcards when I couldn't fall asleep, on the bus, on the train, when walking. I went through my notes, or it was just studying all the time and only focusing on that. So you really have to put your life into it. So also study when you're eating, and make studying a habit to the point you get stressed about it when you're not studying for a moment. And also focus on the things that enable you being more productive. So for example, eat in a way that helps you study more. And don't do things that make studying more difficult, like falling in love or making a lot of friends that you have to go and meet. That's why I always spent lunch alone, so that I could have the time to study for myself. So some people might think, that is not fun, and you need life balance, and it's a little bit too stoic. But honestly, I think that I'm just gonna say it straight, but I don't like half-assing things. I like to full-ass them. I think that is the correct way to do things. What I'm trying to say is that I'm not smarter than you, and I'm not a gifted language genius. It's all just hard work and looking for my own errors and taking action to improve them. And you too can do it too. However, wanting is not enough. You actually have to take action, and sometimes it will be uncomfortable and a little bit difficult, but that is the point, because challenges make you grow, and in the end you will be able to reach your goals, speak a new language, or whatever else. It applies to other dreams and goals as well, but in this case it's studying Japanese. Misconception number 2. I can speak Japanese because I live in Japan. I think that it does help to be in an environment where the language you are learning is spoken 24 hours, but it is it's more more of a supportive element to learning a new language rather than the key ingredient. For example, it could help your pronunciation, but you don't simply absorb Japanese language by existing in Japan. To be able to speak nice and clean Japanese according to the situation and express your own opinions and have your own style of speaking, I think that a good amount of book study is very important. And this brings us to our next question: school or self-study? My opinion is that if you can go to a language school, then I would recommend you to go. You don't need to go to a language school for the entire time of your Japanese study journey, but I would recommend to try out a language school for 2 to 3 months to kind of understand how the study is done here. And I think this will also be very vital for your Japanese self-study, because in the end you will have to do this studying by yourself. You can't always go to the school, but the school will help you to understand how Japanese language is built up. And it's always good to have a teacher too that will correct your mistakes and correct your pronunciation. If you cannot afford going to a language school, I would say you should still start with the self-study, and then when it's possible, try and go to a language school if you're super serious about the language you want to learn. Another benefit of the language school is that they will actually help you prepare for the language test. For example, in Japan, it's the GLPT, the Japanese Language Proficiency Test, and there are 5 different levels. So if you go to a language school, they will focus on helping you to prepare for these kind of tests so that you will pass and be able to receive an official certificate. However, this is not impossible to do alone, but I think that even just the experience of a language school can help your studies greatly. If you cannot afford going to a language school, then this doesn't mean you have to give up on your language study dreams, but you can start self-studying, and when you have time or the resources to go to a school, even if it's just 1 month, I really recommend it to get that experience. The next question that I get asked a lot is time. Some people have time for their language studies, and that's great, but a lot of you guys have to go to school, you have work. So if you have school, I would say that it's very important that you do well at your studies now. When you're still a student, I think it's very important that you do well at school first before starting to learn another language. If you have excess time or you're able to replace a hobby wherever you could, exchange time, wherever you could replace your hobby or other activities in order to pursue your language goals, as long as it does not interrupt your main studies. And even in that way, it takes a little bit longer than you would just focus solely on studying that language. It is still something, and that little something will finally add up. These little study sessions will add up to a large ball of knowledge, Or same if studying a language does not cause you stress and you actually enjoy doing it, I think it's a good hobby to do. And don't forget that a little bit over a long course of time will add up to a lot. And now the last frequently asked question: motivation. Before starting to learn a new language, you might be really motivated, full of energy, but after some difficult challenges arise, you can't get past a difficult point. Motivation starts to feeling like, nah, I don't feel like doing it anymore. And that's the point. If you really want to achieve any type of goal, you have to push through these I don't feel like doing it. So you have to keep doing it even if you don't feel like doing it. Believe me, 120% that at a certain point in time you're gonna feel like you're not gonna feel like doing it. This is part of the process. You're not gonna be able to speak the language you want to speak if you stop when you don't feel like doing it. You have to do it even when you don't feel like doing it. And actually, if you manage to do that, you will thank yourself, your future self will thank you. And the most frequently asked question of frequently asked question: watching Japanese movies, anime, reading Japanese mangas, listening to Japanese music as you read the lyrics are all great ways to supplement your basic main study. Since the anime is their cartoon and the characters are very individual and have their individual way of speaking. It's, you know, like either really cute or super cool. You know, it's meant for entertainment, so it's gonna be different from real life because it's entertainment. You know, in order to make the characters more individual, they have a very unique way of speaking. So I don't think that it's a good way to study Japanese from solely watching anime. I think it's good to, you know, from time to time watch anime as you listen very attentively while reading the subtitles, and also picking up some vocabulary or recognizing some sentence structures you have learned. But only watching anime and expecting then to be able to speak Japanese as well, I think you will be a little bit disappointed. Song lyrics. I think that reading song lyrics as you're listening to a song is a great way to pick up new vocabulary and having fun with the language you're learning. However, you can solely base your studies off reading song lyrics, because not only is the sentence structure a bit, you know, different from usual speech because it's a song and it has to fit the rhythm of the song. You know, maybe you can think you can say the same thing like you're singing in the song, but you're just gonna end up sounding like Shakespeare. So these commonly asked questions and misconceptions, I hope that you're now prepared for the main part of this video, how to study Japanese. It's actually really simple. The hard part is putting in the effort and time to actually, you know, achieve that goal. Books, of course, I will also introduce you all the books that have helped me studying Japanese. But now, first, I want you to understand that actually learning a language is very simple. You just need vocabulary and sentence structure, and you need tons of them. The more sentence structures you have memorized, the more you will be able to speak, communicate with people around all sorts of topics, and express your own opinion. So remember, you have to memorize lots of vocabulary and sentence structures, and then you need to write lots. Write a lot. The more you write, the faster you will be able to write, and the faster you will be able to read. Which brings us to the next point, the Japanese alphabet. Well, Japanese actually has 3 alphabets: hiragana, katakana, and kanji. I'm sure you guys have heard of kanji, which are Chinese characters. In Japan, in everyday life, commonly around 2,000 kanji characters are used. For the GLPT5, which is the easiest level of the Japanese language proficiency test, you need to know about 100 kanji. First, you may think that it's really hard to memorize so many different characters, but actually all these kanji characters, they're built out of small little puzzle pieces called radicals. For example, this kanji character here stands for person. It is a kanji character, but it can also be used as a radical to build more kanji. For example, in this kanji character, which stands for meat, niku, you can now see the kanji for person used twice to form the kanji character for meat. You can also create new words by combining kanji characters together. These are called compound kanji. This is the kanji for person, hito. This is the kanji for shape, katachi. Put the kanji for shape next to the kanji for person, and you have the meaning for doll, ningyo. But wait, why is it not hito katachi, ningyo? It sounds totally different, right? That is because each kanji has different readings, Japanese reading and Chinese reading. The Japanese reading for the character for person is hito. Chinese reading is jin or nin. As you can see in the word doll, ningyo, the Chinese reading appeared. That is because Chinese reading is most common in compound kanji, and in kanji characters that stand alone, Japanese reading is usually used. Doesn't hurt to memorize both readings, and of course it will be much easier for you to read a new compound kanji you've never seen before if you know the Chinese reading. I think that memorizing all the readings is a little bit tedious, and it's much easier to just go on straight and memorize all the vocabulary and the readings how they are read. So whatever works for you, but for me personally, especially in the beginning, it helped me to memorize both the Japanese and the Chinese reading. Also, you don't need to worry about writing kanji characters because they have a stroke order that is given, and you just need to memorize that. If you remember the stroke order, memorize it by heart, then you will be able to write them on autopilot. And it's also something people ask me a lot, but yes, you must learn kanji. It is a part of Japanese language. If you just ignore kanji, then you might get a little bit stuck in the learning process. And remember, more knowledge, more fun. The other two alphabets you must master are hiragana and katakana. This is the chart for hiragana and this is the chart for katakana. As you can see, these sounds are exactly the same, just the writings are different. Hiragana is necessary to write the kanji in its non-kanji form, to write the spelling of the kanji. In kids' comics, you will often see a little hiragana above the kanji. This is so that even, little kids who haven't started studying kanji yet can read the manga. Actually, they're really good for studying too. Other than that, hiragana is also used for conjugation and particles. So you can't leave hiragana out. It's really important. As you can see, hiragana is soft and curvy. Katakana is hard and edgy. Foreign words, English, German, Indian words are written in katakana. Words that aren't Japanese. Now looking at the chart from before, how do you write English words using a Japanese alphabet? Well, you simply mutilate the words. For example, your name is Alice and you want to write your name in Japanese. That's possible. And it reads Alice. What? It doesn't sound like Alice. And this is what happens to all the other foreign words written in katakana. Sometimes Japanese words are written using katakana. In this case, katakana is used to put emphasis on the word. Just like the cursive we have in English language. To memorize hiragana and katakana, try writing a lot. Form simple words, say them out loud while practicing, write the letters over and over again, put a hiragana chart on your bathroom door, try to play a game of karuta, which is a Japanese card game designed for little children to help them learn the alphabet. Now I'm going to introduce to you all the books that help me study Japanese. And after we're done with the books, I'm also gonna reveal to you some fun ways to study Japanese that aren't just sitting at your desk, so stay tuned! Alright, so first the books that I used when I started to study Japanese, which was about 6 years ago when I was 14. I just started studying as a hobby, a few hours a week. Now, I don't have the books I used anymore physically here at home, but I still remember the names. Complete Japanese. Of course, it's an English study book, and from what I remember, it explained all the particles very well, counters for different items, sentence structures. It also learned lots of useful vocabulary, which is used most commonly in everyday life. Besides hiragana and katakana, they even had some kanji explained in it. I could really retain a lot of information using that book. Plus point, it comes with 2 audio CDs. So to help you read the dialogues and understand the pronunciation. After that, I used the official Japanase language proficiency test study book. This here is an N2, but for those I had an N3. So this here is a higher level than what I used before. But these here are the best books which I have used until now. By the way, this is exactly the same. It just doesn't have a cover. I ripped it away. I think that these here are the best. They're packed with information, example sentences, and tons of vocabulary, and they made my study so much more fun. And it's so good. This is why I got this is why after getting entry I got these here. So here I'm gonna let you have a little peek inside. This is what it looks like. Here are lessons. After every 10 or so lessons, there will be a minute test to test your knowledge. If you're struggling with Japanese verbs, which I did, I recommend this book here, the Handbook of Japanese Verbs. So if you memorize everything that is written in this book, you will understand Japanese words and how to conjugate them perfectly. This really has all the information you need to know about on Japanese verbs. This is really one of my favorite Japanese study treasures. Dun 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 dun. These 3 fat books here. All these books together cost me rough $100. What's so special about them is that they contain all of Japanese grammar. Not kanji or that kind of stuff, but just pure grammar. Rather than study books, they're a dictionary of Japanese grammar, so you can use them as reference when you find a sentence structure you don't understand. So there are 3 levels: basic grammar, intermediate grammar, and advanced Japanese grammar. You know, just rarely used grammar. The most, commonly used, what you really must learn are just, these 2 books here, basic and intermediate. This here is also a true treasure of mine. The cover is in German, but really they have the exact same book also in English, so don't worry about that. It is in this case a German-Japanese visual dictionary. So if you just want the English version, look for English instead of German. As you can see, it has pictures of pretty much all things that exist, on planet Earth. Literally everything from sports to office, animals, culture. Then there's the corresponding Japanese word for the item and an English, or in this case German, translation. Such a good book to learn vocabulary, and it's easy because you have the pictures, all these pictures to visualize. These are all the books that I used for my self-study. For the dictionary, to look up words, I recommend to install an application, a dictionary application in your smartphone. I'm using this application here called Japanese. Until now, I found this the most convenient and useful Japanese dictionary for smartphones. If you look up a certain word, not only the word, but also words that have a relation to the word you just looked for will pop up. There are example sentences. You can click here to see the kanji character, see the Japanese and Chinese reading, and then there's a list of words that contain this kanji character, which Japanese language proficiency test level it is. So here's N1, and you can also write a memo and save it like this. You can add the words to a folder. Then you go to your folders, look at your words. Those are all the words I saved into my folder. Then you can also mark them with a color. Woo! Another app that I like is Cram, where you can create your own flashcards. You can simply memorize them, but I prefer Cram mode, where you basically check the order side of the word. If you know it, you get a ticket. If you don't know it, then you just put a cross. And if you didn't know it, it will appear in the next round with all the other words you didn't know. And you will have to repeat this and study them until you remember it through 5 rounds. So this method really works like a spell. Also, you can look up a kanji by its radicals. Also, for internet browsers, I recommend the website called jisho.org. You can simply look up words there, sentence structures, or look up kanji by the radicals. Also, a very notable point of jisho.org is if you type into the search bar hashtag and N1, N2, N3, and 4 and 5, whatever GLPT level you're currently studying, all the words for the test will come up if you type in hashtag and 5. Then all you need to do is look at the list and write flashcards, either on your mobile phone or real paper flashcards, and start memorizing the words. Another great way to support your Japanese studies is, of course, Googling in Japanese. Google anything, topics that are of your interest. But if you're not speaking Japanese that well, it's a little bit troublesome, to copy paste every word into the dictionary. For that, I recommend you guys to use Rikai-kun, which is a web application. You just have to place your cursor over the Japanese word and ta-da, the definition will pop up. And finally, I'm going to show you some fun ways to supplement your Japanese studies. Number 1, if you like cooking like me, then I recommend you to look up Japanese recipes or even get your own Japanese cookbook. The reason why cooking is such a great way to supplement your Japanese studies is because you will learn so much about the culture and history through food. And the ingredients, the name of the ingredients are of course in Japanese. All the names of the dishes are in Japanese as well. Plus, you can even have fun trying out new recipes and learning new stuff. If you can already speak and read Japanese to a certain degree, I recommend you to start reading novels. Whenever there appears a word you don't understand, just take a marker and mark it so you can add it to your flashcard. But really, reading is such a good way to power up those language skills, and it's super fun too. If you're not at the level where you can read novels, I recommend you to start small with children's books. It's not embarrassing at all if you're like grown up and reading children's books. Don't think about that, but it's actually really good even if it's just something simple to just start reading a lot, even if it's just children's book, and then slowly work your way up to more complex books. The important thing is to start reading. Reading will really help you so much with your Japanese studies, and it's super fun too. Another fun way to supplement your Japanese study is to translate stuff. Maybe you have a favorite Japanese celebrity, so you can go on his blog and then just translate the blog posts into English on your own blog. But of course, say that these are translations from this blog, link the source. But by translating blog posts from your favorite celebrity, you can not only find out more about your favorite person, but also learn some new vocabulary and grammar. Or it doesn't have to be a celebrity. Maybe you like to listen to Japanese music. So look up the lyrics to your favorite song and try and translate the lyrics into English. So this is all the Japanese study advice I have to offer, and I hope that you guys can pick something up and that it will be of help for you. I know you can do it if you really want to study Japanese. I'm all for you in. If you know, even if people around you say, that's stupid, you shouldn't study Japanese, blah 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 negative stuff, remember me. I'm here for you and I support what you do. Thank you guys for watching, and we will meet again in my next video. Mata ne! Okay, bye bye boo!